Hello, ActiveSage here on the Sage channel, and I'm going to be going ahead and taking a look at the variants of the MISC Freelancer today, or at least two of them, the Dur, the one in front of you, and then the Max, which I'll be loading up after that. Now, starting out here, we have the Dur. It is, overall, has the same design as the normal MISC Freelancer, which actually, if I was to go ahead and turn around, you can actually see the normal Freelancer behind me, and see the differences pretty quickly. The normal Freelancer here has pretty nice engines, small intake at the front, some interesting greebles on the right side of it, and an assortment of missiles. And if we were to pan over to our left, then we look at the engine differences here. Assortment of missiles again, a little something at the very end of the wing, and then you notice the engine intake is a bit bigger. And the greebles are now missing from the left side of the engine, and we seem to have these huge, I'm assuming, fuel supply things, because the Dur, I believe stands for long duration, is more of an exploration ship, and also has advanced sort of jump drive and scanning abilities, while it has a 25% smaller cargo hold, which I can't actually see the difference when I actually get in there, but I'll assume it's actually there and not just in the coding. The weapons itself look to be about exactly the same, and the crew complement for this ship is said to be 2 persons, just like the normal version of the ship. And let's just span around the front, get a nice look at it to see the differences from the previous one. By the way, there should be an annotation at the top right of your screen to go ahead and see the video tour I did of just the normal MISC Freelancer, if you want to get a closer look at that one. You can see a lot of the grime here is pretty much the same, except for, of course, it's applied to slightly different spots on the ship. It's a very, very, very nice ship. Again, I'm loving the reflectivity. And then we have what I'm assuming are scanning pods at the front. They look a bit silly, I must say. But then I love these antennas at the top of the ship and the way they look. Overall, the ship is pretty much the same. The only real differences are on the engines there that I can find in the very top. And of course, this scanning thing here. And then this little bobble that seems to be sticking out the side here, which is a bit interesting. It looks pretty interesting. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. It's just nice, let's say. And let's go ahead into the back, and you can see there is one more very noticeable difference here with this ship, and that would be the engine's back. I didn't really show this earlier because it's just so notable. Look at that. How cool is that? Now, I'd like to say that the whole thing would sort of bend up and down the direct on how you fly, but I'm 99.9% sure that's not going to really happen. It might sort of open or something, but if you look in there, you can see that the normal engine setup is still there, so I doubt it could easily flex. Now, let's go ahead and pop the door open and take a look inside and get some of the differences that are in there. The very few there are. Ooh, and there we go. Just barely clear the door. I do love that door an awful lot. Now let's go up in here. By the way, the turret on this one is a bit bigger. If we were to look over to our left, you can see the turret over there on that one doesn't look that much bigger, but trust me, this one is bigger. Now let's walk inside. Now I'm using a controller again to walk around, by the way. And let's crouch down and now compare this to the other one. Now, you might notice right away that there's this sort of like glitchiness right here. I'm assuming that's just unfinished. But overall, this actually looks to have more detail. Let me move over to the one on my right. Maybe it won't have that same glitchiness. No, it's a bit better here. So you can see it's actually got a fair amount of detail. It looks like there's sort of a grid there. It's overall pretty nice. Now, I'm going to crossfade now to the version on just the normal Freelancer, and you can see pretty much right away it looks a bit different. The poly count is easier to count. It doesn't look like it has a normal map around the edges of that round piece there. There's no little grid there. It actually looks like you could turn that thing and pop it out. It does actually have a normal map, I think. No, it looks like it's actually modeled in there to have that turnable piece, so it's a fairly different thing. Overall, though, I like the other version more. It seems like it's more polished. I get the feeling that little like rectangular thing there is indeed supposed to light up like it does in the other version. It isn't. So I'm thinking it's possible that the interiors in these ships are intended to be exactly the same, but they just haven't done like this secondary pass on the original Freelancer. Anyway, let's go back over to the duration or Dur Freelancer and take a look inside it. It's pretty much the same exact thing though, so I'm going to go quickly through it. So here we are, walking up inside it. Pretty much the same exact thing as the other one. The lighting looks like it might be a little bit better, but overall I think it's the same thing. I'm noticing that there's no writing on the walls, or wait, nope, there it is. There is writing on the walls, so it's pretty much the same exact thing, if not the exact same thing as the previous ship. Let's go through this door. Pretty nice in here. Carry on. Airlock thing up above is the same. Floors, pretty much the same. So the interior is pretty much the same as it usually is. Nothing too much different. This seems to be up. I believe that was actually down in the other version, so you could actually see the panels. So apparently that folds away, and so does that apparently. So that's good to see that those fold. Still don't see any way to get into the shower/restroom. But overall, pretty much the same exact setup. And let's go ahead and just take a closer look at the... Ooh, I've stood on a chair. Isn't that just wonderful? Oh dear God. Let me just hop in this chair real quick. Luckily it still lets me hop down there even if it was glitched out. And there we go, and control the ship. And I'm going to switch to the mouse real quickly, and I'm going to switch us into third person, if I can remember the right button to press here. There we go. So you can see it's a pretty dang nice ship. If I was to actually go ahead and now rotate slowly with the controller, yeah. You can see there are some more differences at the top. A lot of stuff sticking up at the front of the ship. The gun that I was talking about earlier is indeed much, much bigger. It's pretty nice. I love it, actually. Yeah, out of the two, I'd probably go with this one just because it does look more industrial. I love the front of it, at least the top front of it, with those large bits sticking there. It's pretty cool. By the way, remember this is early days in the game, that's why you're seeing some graphical issues. If you're seeing screen flickering every now and again, that's an issue with SLI. Unfortunately, they haven't gotten that really working correctly, and with my setup, it's not exactly ideal to disable SLI. Anyway, let's go ahead and now swap out the normal Freelancer over there for the Max Freelancer, shall we? Alrighty, here we are. I've gone ahead and swapped out actually both of those for store credit, and then bought this one, and I'll eventually swap this out for store credit to get something else. I could have changed the game files, or at least I know before the dogfighting module there was a way to swap them out, but I didn't want to fiddle with that at this moment because, well, I wasn't sure if it would properly swap all the things out, and I didn't feel like doing, I don't know, 12 hours of research to make sure at this moment. Sorry about that, guys. But here we go. This is the Freelancer Max. This is the heavy-duty transport ship version of it. And at the front right away, you notice there is some very noticeable differences with paint. So you got your nice grime now eating away at the paint, which is pretty dang cool. And the overall paint job seems to carry along the thing. We have pretty much the same design as the last two, with I think the only real exception being at the back this time. And that's where you see these engines. Now, from this side, it actually pretty much looks like the normal Freelancer engine, except for this large fin sticking up here. But as soon as you see the front of it, you very quickly realize that even though the overall silhouette from the side looks the same, from the front, it's been stretched from left to right, and is now pretty dang hefty looking. If we were to run along the back, it still has the two, or at least the normal thruster that a Freelancer has, except for now it's got two exhaust ports. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty nice, actually. I like it a lot, and of course there's another engine on the other side. It would be a bit silly if there wasn't. The lighting doesn't seem to exactly match, but the lighting in this hangar isn't exactly brilliant, let's be honest. This is a business hangar. Anyway, let's go ahead and look inside it, and this one, obviously from the side of the store, is much bigger, and you have to get pretty dang far under it to hit that button. And wow, that is a big, big door. And it looks like we have the smaller turret on this one instead of the bigger one. And that's a lot of headspace. That is a whole lot of space. You could fit a lot of pods in here. Dang. And looking at this, this does also reaffirm my belief that the original Freelancer probably just hasn't had an update yet, because this looks to be the sort of nicer setup. Oh, wow. God, that's a lot of space compared to the other one. The other one felt quite claustrophobic. This, you could have like a barn, like a, bit of a barn dance in here, whatever you call it. A lot of people dancing, get some hay. Yeah. Wow. And there is a wonderful reflection map that is having a heyday, being way more reflective than it has any right to be. Early days, eh? Anyway, let's go ahead into here. Hey, normal airlock as before. Actually, looks to be exactly the same size, which is a bit strange coming from that much space and then finding yourself in this tiny little airlock area. Let's go ahead into here. And once again, this all looks to be pretty much, if not exactly, yep, it looks to be exactly the same as usual. But still, let's be honest, it's a pretty nice ship. As a certain subscriber called it, a Winnebago, which I think is probably most apt, because once you get in the front, it does just look like you're on your little family vacation in space. Anyway, it's pretty nice. It's pretty great. Let's go ahead and look at the outside of it again from a pilot seat. That way we can get our nice third-person perspective. And there we go. Pretty, pretty guns. The top might be a little bit different than the normal. I know at the back, the top there, the vent, if it isn't there on the normal one, it's definitely here on this one. It's definitely longer. Wow, it is a pretty nice ship, I have to say. I'm liking it a lot. I don't know which one I would get if I was to actually buy one of these to keep. I'm thinking currently probably the Dur. Or maybe the Miss, which I can't unfortunately show you because they're no longer selling it. I might go ahead and tweak the game files to be able to show it though. So if that video comes out, that's probably how I got that. Yeah. By the way, there's a whole lot of Z fighting going on right now. That's all that flickering on the surface and stuff. This is early days issue with the game. So try not to hold that against it too much. And of course there was the wonderful SLI flickering again. Yeah, it's a pretty nice ship. It's a pretty nice ship. Let's go ahead and bring our camera right around and boop. Yeah. It's a pretty nice ship. I think I do like the other ones more though. It's nice to have all that cargo space, but I don't know, something about it just doesn't feel quite right on this ship. Anyway, that's it guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.